Hello, I'm Cathleen Crowley Denbeaux. I'm a pickleball organizer from Albany, New York, and I'm here with Ashley Owens, co-founder of CourtReserve. It's a court management platform. Ashley, it's so good to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, the reason it came up for me is I run a newsletter for my local players, and we have several new facilities in the area, and several of them have adopted Court Reserve. So I wanted to give new users some tips on how to make the most out of your Court Reserve platform. But
Okay.
first, a little background: how did Court Reserve come about, and how did you get into pickleball?
So Tim and we lived right outside of Charlotte in a small town, and we had joined a tennis club, and we were doing the lessons and a couple classes, and we started training with each other. Then we started playing on the USTA leagues that were right outside of Charlotte. And then we started captaining USTA leagues. And we were just all in on tennis, and we taught our kids how to play tennis. And then we coached at a local Christian school. And our club was about 20 minutes away from our home, and we would get in the car and drive over and have to wait. There was a whiteboard that you had to put your name on the whiteboard to get a reservation on the tennis court. The only way you knew about classes is if, you looked on the court board while you happened to be at the club. The club had a phone, but nobody ever answered it. There was one pro at the club, and you had to find her, get her text, or her phone number, and set up lessons. So we just felt that there was a better way for our own club to be more efficient for us as players. And so I had a sales and marketing background in medical sales, and Tim, he was a software developer. And so we just, in our kitchen one day with a couple of our kids, we were just like, if we were to build something, at that point, we already had a tennis ladder product out on the market, very small. It's called Tennis Rungs. And, we just, again, built it for our own use with our friends. And so we kind of whiteboarded out what a court reservation system would look like. And it kind of took off, and we started developing some relationships and went to a couple of, tennis conferences like PTR and USPTA. And so that's how Court Reserve really got started. And then right before COVID came into the play, we kept hearing about pickleball. And there was the World Pickleball Open down in South Florida. And we were like, we should go down there, just to go and hang out. We knew some of our friends had started playing pickleball. And so we went to this tournament and just watched these people having so much fun on a pickleball court. And my husband may not tell you this, but I will. He was anti pickleball. I'm not playing it. It's for older people. It's just that whole like stigma of pickleball for so many people until they play it. So that day after the first day at the tournament, we went back to the hotel we were at. They had wooden pickleball paddles that you could borrow and go and play. And we just went out there and started playing. And because we had a tennis background, we could hold some rallies and stuff. And so that was the beginning. And do you know, to this day, that has been 2019 that my husband's picked up a tennis racket maybe 5 times to hit with me.
Wow.
And so he went all in pickleball, completely changed our world. We did move to Florida 3 years ago and moved Court Reserve to Florida. And we really haven't looked back. He's played in a lot more tournaments than I have. And then here in St. Augustine, we're opening up the first indoor pickleball facility. The closest one right now is in Orlando, which is a couple hours away from us. And so
Wow.
we're opening up the first of two facilities here. The first one's a 2-court facility at the marina. It's called Old Coast Pickleball. And then we are going to build a 12-court indoor facility here. The beauty of indoor here in Florida is about May, the humidity arrives, and it's a tropical paradise. And it's really hard to play pickleball outside, because of the rain and the humidity and things like that. So we're really, really looking forward to that.
And tell me a bit about what Court Reserve can do.
So Court Reserve is an all-in-one facility or club management platform. It helps small 1, 2, 3-court facilities, maybe in an HOA or a community, that need a simple reservation system. They need the visibility to let their homeowners know who's on the court or when they have the ability to make a reservation. But we also serve large, facilities that do everything from Court Reserve to programming, camps, clinics, classes, open plays. leagues, tournaments, membership management. It's a full notification and communication platform. So you can use push notifications, text messaging, bulk emailing. So we are the provider of software for a lot of large facilities. The USTA National Campus uses us, along with several big pickleball facilities around the country. The beauty of CourtReserve is it's absolutely customizable to the facility. And the reason it does that is because from day one, our customers have helped push the new features that they need to run their club. Because CourtReserve, we're getting ready to turn 8 years old this year. Well, for the first 7 years, up till this year, I mean, we didn't own a facility, right? We didn't run a facility, but we worked with people who did. And so they would come to us and say, hey, CourtReserve's great. It does this, it does that, but I really need it to do this. And if we knew that that feature would help the majority of the other facilities and clubs, then we would put that into play. And so that's why it's so customizable, is because it's going to help the small, the large, the don't need to do payments. Oh, but yeah, we need to take membership payments. And so one of the best things about CourtReserve is our mobile app. The mobile app makes it super easy for admins to do their functionality. You can check players in, you can collect fees and payments on the court, you can take attendance, as well as the player or the member. They can easily book at different facilities, which is, why we're talking today. And they can bounce back and forth between the different organizations that use CourtReserve and do what that facility allows them to do.
So let's talk about that from the user's perspective.
Okay.
A little bit about how new users get into CourtReserve, and do they need to do a profile for every venue, a different login for every venue they belong to?
So if a facility who uses CourtReserve is a public facility and they allow that to be shown in the public list, basically, if I move to Albany, New York, and I want to go join ABC Tennis or Pickleball Club, then I'm going to, I can download that CourtReserve app, or I can go online and I can find that facility. And then when I request access or join, whatever information that facility wants from that player or member is what's going to be asked of them. Now, if they already have the majority of that filled out, name, address, phone number, maybe an emergency contact, a rating, customized questions, whatever that looks like, then it's just going to pull that information and they're not going to have to refill out that information for a new club. If you look at Tim and I, if you look at our apps, we've been to so many different facilities that use CourtReserve. And so you just look down the list of those clubs. And when it's time after you have become a member of that club or you've joined that club, whether it's a free membership or it's, you have to pay, then you can just click on that individual club and then make your reservation, sign up for the open play, whatever that looks like.
And what is the best way to find that public entry into someone's CourtReserve system?
Well, some clubs can post that link. So if you go to their own individual website, we use widgets. Widgets are just tiny bits of code that allow you to embed links. And you can click on that link and it should take you directly to that individual club or facility's website. Or if you do have the CourtReserve app on your phone through the iPhone or Android store, then you can type the first 3 letters of that name of the facility or the club and it'll pop up and then you just request access.
I am finding around here, our clubs are allowing anyone to get access into their CourtReserve system. You don't have to be a paying member of
Mhm.
the club, and you can sign up for their open plays. So
Nice.
yeah, it's very handy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So now, what if you play pickleball with your spouse and your kids? Do they have to do their own accounts, or can one person manage all that?
That's at the club's level. So if the club requires, every single person to be noted with their first name, last name, date of birth, whatever they require at that club, it really depends on the club or the facility. If the club just requires that member to sign up for the court or to pay for that court, then the spouse, the children wouldn't necessarily need to do that. That is at the individual clubs, what they want out of that.
Okay. And I'm imagining you have a similar answer for if I want to sign. I know my friend is coming with me to open play. Could I sign my friend up with me? But that's an individual club.
It it is, but a lot of clubs allow guests. And so they may allow you to sign your friend up as a guest to an open play. In Court Reserve events, you can add guests. And so again, it does, the club has to allow that and have that set
Okay.
up in their system. But again, yes, it is a feature in Court Reserve that is available.
Okay. And I've noticed that I can, in some events and open plays, I can see who's coming to play, and sometimes I can't. Is that just like an event by event, and the club decides which one it shows?
It is. It's
Okay.
actually great. I actually think that, especially in adults, that we love to know when our friends are coming to play, right? So
Absolutely.
it is at the individual event level. So I know a lot of times in the pickleball world, for especially for open plays, the organizer or the admin can go in and allow people to see the names. We of course say, if you're doing children's events, I highly recommend you don't show names of children. But for adults, I think it's great for sure.
And is there a member directory? You can see who the member of that club is, and can you upload your profile picture and create a profile?
So we do have profile pictures in Court Reserve, and of course, that is at the club level, whether they decide to use that or not. Now, our new branded mobile app, our new mobile dashboard, is going to allow you to have your picture, almost like a little icon of yourself in there. You can make your friends your favorites, and so when you go to book a court, you can keep your friends listed at the top of that. So you're just, constantly, I'm going to add Kimberly to my bookings at all times. But again, it does depend on the court. Now, the player directory is a powerful tool in Court Reserve. It is at the club level. They can turn it on or turn it off, and they can have different directories. So the example that I love to give is that maybe you have a ladies 3-5 group. Well, you can actually have a ladies 3-5 group, and what we call is it's a dynamic. So anytime a new lady would join your club and assess her own rating as a 3-5, she would automatically move into that 3-5 group. You can also make it to where it's not a public group, but just for those ladies. So if you are in that group as a lady 3-5, only you can see the ladies in that group. So you can have multiple directories in Court Reserve. And again, it is something at the club level that they can set up, whether they make it public for all people or by rating. It is a great tool because from an admin standpoint, they can email you, push notifications. So if they're having a ladies 3-5 class, then they can actually just send those ladies. They can hit one button and send all the ladies notification that, hey, we need a couple more ladies to come join our class tonight.
All right. And now you can also pay for your courts through Court Reserve.
You
And
can.
what are the options there?
Well, it, again, depends on what the club wants to
Okay.
do, whether it's the original member who signs up for the court, whether they want to split the fee, the court fee by all of the players. And then depending on how that, facility processes, whether they allow credit cards or e-check or bank draft.
Okay. And I have been in a situation where we split the court costs, and it's nice and seamless on there. It's nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's hard sometimes to remember to always Venmo your friends.
Exactly. Yeah. In booking, I know you can book courts, your rent a court online through the Court Reserve. Can you do, if you know you're going to be renting it every Monday at a certain time, can you kind of book multiple appointments at the same time?
We call that contract time a lot of times, and a lot of facilities do allow contract times. We're going to do that here in St. Augustine at our club as well. And so we encourage a club if that's something that they want to do, they can absolutely do that. It's called a recurring reservation in Court Reserve from an admin standpoint. But again, if your club allows that, now sometimes there's so many people at the facility, it can be unfair sometimes for people to take up all, depends on the number of
Mhm.
players, versus courts, right? And so contract time is something that is available in Court Reserve if the facility allows it.
Okay. Okay. And any tips for people how to keep track of what they've signed up for, especially if it's across multiple venues?
Sure. Well, when you're in Court Reserve, you can always link to your calendar And so you can download it. I believe it's to the Google Calendar, the iCalendar, and things like that. So it'll always populate on your calendar. And then in your organization in Court Reserve, you'll always have the ability to go and look at all the court reservations you've already signed up for, all of the programs or classes or clinics or open plays you've signed up for, as well as lessons. Now, at the club level, they can turn that off, but I wouldn't imagine why they would want to do that because they want you to come and be at their club and,
Right.
and know what you signed up for. Yeah.
And I've also gotten automated reminders through text message, and
I hope
that's
so.
handy.
Yeah. That's part of the notification, the communications platform in Court Reserve is the club has the ability to send out email, push, or text reminders and notifications, as well as it's raining, we've closed the courts. There's also something called global announcement. The way that works in Court Reserve is that when you log in as a user and you're getting ready to sign up, if you have a new notification from your club, there'll be a little red dot on the announcements tab, and you can click and read what your facility's trying to tell you.
Nice, nice. And let's talk about ratings. How does Court Reserve handle ratings? Is it mostly self ratings?
So the club has the ability to set up the ratings in the system. So some clubs use the, USTA or NTRP, or the WTN, as well as for pickleball. There's a couple different ratings out there as well. Court Reserve is integrated with Duper for the Duper pickleball rating, and so that pulls straight from Duper and allows clubs to have events and open plays using your current Duper rating. And so it is at the club level. So if a club decides that they just want to stick to the 2.5, 3.0, some clubs even, do advanced or intermediate or beginner. They don't get into the numbers specifically. So it is at the club level that they can set up how they want those ratings to be. And
Hmm.
then they can assess whether they require you to rate yourself or the club rates you and locks it down.
Can you tell me a little bit more how about the Duper connection works? Does the player themselves have to set that up, or does the club do that?
So the club has to basically say, "Hey, I want to have that Duper integration for one."
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then the player does have to have a Duper rating in order for it to sync up within Duper. So it would be at the club level first. They would
Okay.
basically turn that on inside their own Court Reserve system, and then the players would need to go out to Duper and sign themselves up to have a Duper rating.
Okay. All right. Well, any other future features coming from Court Reserve that we can look forward to?
Wow. Well, on you know, just our branded mobile app, facilities, who use the Court Reserve app see how seamless it is and how great it is for their player and member experience. And so what we've done is now you can have your own app in the App Store. So it wouldn't be the Court Reserve app anymore. It would be Ashley's Tennis Club app in the App Store. And so some of our facilities are super excited about having their own branded mobile app in the App Store, which means that basically you can use their app or you could still have the Court Reserve app as well, for other clubs and facilities. We always have a lot of great stuff in the pipeline. More iterations of pickleball leagues are coming right now. We're working on partner-based leagues, so that's super important in the pickleball world. And then we're doing some financial upgrades where it's going to give, more data and analytics around that as well. So all good things still coming out of Court Reserve this year.
Awesome. And any final pro tips for users of Court Reserve to make the most of it?
Yeah, so I would just encourage people to just, make sure your information is, correct in the system. Make sure your club has your incorrect or has your correct information. And then, go to your club. Your clubs, the reason that they chose Court Reserve because of the capabilities of what they have. And so if you hear that there's something that you have at another facility that maybe would be really helpful for the members of your club, maybe be a club advocate and go to your club and say, "Hey, we can do this over here at this club. We think it would be great, at your club." Because again, it's at the facility and club level. And so we want to maximize the player member experience, and that all starts at the club.
Well, thank you so much, Ashley. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me today. Let us know how we can help.
All right. Thank you.
All
See
right.
ya.
Take care. Bye bye.